At first glance, it feels like it's only a matter of time before humanity escapes the solar system and starts visiting other stars, as if the universe were just a bigger map waiting to be explored. But what if that belief is a dangerous illusion? What if this idea that one day we'll get there ignores a set of hard limits that reality keeps throwing in our face while we prefer to look the other way? We like to say we're a naturally exploring species, that space is our next obvious step. But when you calmly look at the numbers, at the human body and at physics itself, a troubling thought creeps in. Maybe the universe simply wasn't built for the kind of interstellar travel that sci-fi stories taught us to expect. And that completely changes how we picture our future out there. Even so, that realization doesn't need to feel like a cold shower. It can actually be the trigger that makes us see the cosmos with more maturity and less daydreaming. Because once we truly accept the size of the challenge, we can finally ask the right question. Is it really possible to leave home, or are we stuck in our cosmic backyard whether we like it or not, at least for a very long time? Since childhood, people learn to stare at the night sky and imagine other worlds, other lands, maybe even other versions of themselves living on distant planets. That impulse is not just childish curiosity, it's almost an instinct not to feel limited to our own little yard. Today, when we talk about leaving the solar system, we're just giving a technical name to that old urge to cross the garden wall. The image of a spaceship leaving Earth and gliding across the solar system seems simple in the mind of someone raised on science fiction movies. In just a few scenes, the ship takes off. There is a dramatic cut, and suddenly it's already parked near another star. In real life, though, between liftoff and arrival lies a canyon of time and distance no film can show without putting the audience to sleep. That's exactly where the clash between dream and numbers begins. The urge to go beyond is genuine, and in many ways beautiful. But as soon as we start measuring how big beyond really is, we see that our cosmic backyard, which looks tiny on a textbook diagram, is huge in practice. And before we think about remote galaxies, we need to face the fact that we've barely stepped off the front porch. When humanity looks back and remembers Sputnik, Gagarin, the Apollo landings and probes flying across the solar system, a sense of pride is inevitable. In a few decades, we went from horse-drawn carts to landing machines on other worlds. It's such a radical leap that many fictional civilizations would be jealous. It really feels like we are almost masters of nearby space, at least in our own neighborhood. But when someone puts those achievements next to a real map of the solar system, something uncomfortable appears. All that spectacle happened in a tiny region, practically glued to Earth. It's as if we were celebrating walking to the corner, while the entire continent beyond is still unexplored. Mars, the Moon, low Earth orbit. All of that is still extremely close to home when you zoom out. The Voyager probes, often mentioned as the ones that left the solar system, make this contrast very clear. After decades of travel and billions of miles logged, on a cosmic map, they've barely stepped past the front gate of our street. Once you grasp that, the pride doesn't vanish, but it changes tone. Instead of feeling we've conquered space, we realize we're only just starting to open the door. On paper, leaving the solar system and heading for another star sounds like just going a bit farther. But the universe does not work like a city map. It follows scales that crush our intuition. The distance to the sun alone is already extreme, And when you convert light years into miles, you notice we are dealing with figures no human brain really feels. We simply nod and accept the numbers. Then the second half of the problem shows up. It's not only far, it's brutally expensive in energy. For a ship to cross those distances in a time that makes sense within a single human life, it would need to reach a solid fraction of light speed. Yet the faster you want to go, the more energy you need, and the more energy you carry, the more mass and the harder it becomes to accelerate. Physics does not offer discounts. Our current technologies are like little tricycles trying to race Formula One cars on an endless track. Chemical rockets work well for escaping Earth, but they are almost laughably inefficient for interstellar trips. Even more advanced systems, like ion drives, are still timid when faced with the abyss ahead of us. The tyranny here is not only about distance, it is about the staggering energy required to challenge it. Up to this point, you can pretend it's mostly an engineering issue. Stronger engines, smarter spacecraft, better fuel. But the moment you put a real human inside, the equation changes completely. Our bodies are tuned to Earth's gravity, shielded by an atmosphere, and adapted to a world full of sensations, deep relationships, and natural cycles that simply do not exist in deep space between the stars. On relatively short missions like the ones we run today, the impacts are already serious. Bone loss, weaker muscles, cells battered by radiation, broken sleep cycles, overloaded minds. Now stretch that out over decades or even centuries. It's no longer just about toughing it out. It's about preserving sanity, identity, and a sense of meaning in a place where help from Earth can take years to arrive. That is when concepts like generation ships, where multiple generations are born and die during the journey, or long-term hibernation, almost a frozen sleep until arrival, start appearing. They sound elegant in fiction, but come loaded with heavy questions. Is it ethical to decide the fate of people who are not even born yet? Are we ready to treat human beings as the crew of a 1,000-year project? Technology might evolve, but these dilemmas won't vanish. When we combine absurd distances, nearly impossible energy demands, and a stubbornly fragile human body, a disturbing possibility emerges. Maybe no civilization ever truly becomes interstellar in the way our stories depict. It might not be about missing technology. It could be that the very game board of the universe was set up to strongly discourage large-scale travel between the stars. This connects directly to the Fermi paradox. If the universe is so vast and so ancient, then where is everybody? One harsh and simple answer is that every civilization remains trapped in its own cosmic yard, limited by time, physics, and biology. There may be countless advanced societies out there, all staring at their skies and running into the same walls we are only beginning to notice. But there is another option. Maybe we are still at the very start of the game. Humanity has barely scratched the surface of the laws that govern space and time. New theories, unexpected technologies, and even forms of life that do not depend on biology like ours could one day flip this picture completely. Until then, our role is to explore what we can, how we can, while wrestling with one stubborn question. In the end, the real turning point is not deciding if we will colonize other stars tomorrow, but understanding what this dream reveals about us right now. Our wish to go beyond the edge of the solar system reflects restlessness, fear, curiosity, and maybe a bit of escape. And once we face the real barriers, we have to choose. grow up our idea of the future, or cling to a fantasy that feels safe. Maybe the universe is harsher than we'd like, and will never allow a galaxy full of ships zipping around like buses. Or maybe right now, we are in the most ignorant phase of our history, and centuries from now, people will look back at these doubts the way we look at those who thought Earth sat immobile at the center of everything. Both possibilities are powerful in very different ways. So let me throw the question back to you. After hearing all this, what sounds more likely? We're stuck in our tiny cosmic yard, or one day we'll laugh at these limits as the worries of a beginner civilization? Drop your answer in the comments, share this with someone curious about the universe, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit like so this kind of content keeps reaching more people.